Welcome to the reading for the last decan of Gemini between 11 and 20 of June. And for this period we have the sub-ruler, the Sun. So for this period we have Sun in Gemini. And as we know, the Sun is normally a force that brings light, a lot of light, and maybe sometimes it even helps with reveal the truth. Gemini being a sign who is really about communication, we can also see this Sun in Gemini like finally all the clouds are gone and all the shadows are exposed, and then we can see the truth in the bright light of day. Even in Gemini, maybe sometimes with all the conversation it can also try to hide the truth, but this time with the Sun in this period there is no chance for that to happen. And as we know, sometimes the truth hurts. We have the Gemini associated with the card of the Lover. So if we look at the cards that are for this period, we first had the Eight of Swords for the first decan, like somebody feels trapped. Then we can say we have the woman from the Lovers that feels unhappy and has all kind of bad dreams and try to face the demons. And then we have maybe the man from the card of the Lovers who is now totally destroyed by the truth, totally unable to find any other solution. The card is also called the Lord of Ruin. Even if it looks so cruel, it's actually a consciousness release, and like nothing is hidden anymore. It's really a final end of the suffering, and the soul is liberating. It's a total enlightenment. It can also see like a card of rebirth. It's death and rebirth, a cycle of endings and beginnings, and a higher consciousness is possible, and that whatever ruin we are talking about, it's going to be followed by rebuilding. And indeed, if we look at the cards that we have, let's say the story before, we see this brave person in the dawn trying to maybe to face his enemies who are hidden there, and then of course he ends up giving up or destroyed by his enemies, or maybe by his own thoughts and his own fear, and then he is helped by others to, this is the end of the cycle, and as the light comes in, he is going to start the process of rebuilding. As much as this card is associated with a kind of negative thought or fears, let's not forget that, like also in this card from the Tarot of the Seeds, the fairies, it says that so all must bleed and melt away before the dawning of the day. The tree must fall in land forlorn. This dream must die to be reborn. So it's a desolation, but it's also an acceptance that the dreams, the thoughts, everything brought us here, and in this moment we are going to be reborn. So that's the main meaning of this card, the Ten of Swords. And if we look at the card from Tarot of the Divine, we have the story of Sedna from the Inuit mythology. Sedna seems to be a very beautiful woman who was old enough to marry, but she didn't want to, and in the end her father said, you have to marry. At the moment that a handsome and mysterious hunter appeared in the village, he agreed very quickly, and they gave her away, and she decided to go, but she ended up on an island, and her husband was not really a man, it was a bird disguised as a man. So she was very disappointed and angry, because one of the main issues was that she will just get fish to eat all day. And after a while, when the father came to visit her, he realized how unhappy she is. He wanted to save her, take her back to her house, but then, of course, the bird got angry. They had a fight. The father killed the bird, and then they tried to run away, but they couldn't. They were stopped by the other birds, who also were very upset. And then the father tried to save himself, and by doing this, he really cut the fingers of his daughter, who was trying to grab the boat so she doesn't sink at the bottom of the sea. And by dying, she became actually the goddess of the sea, and from her fingers we have the seals and the whales, and her hair grew to entangle all the sea creatures of the world. So now, if people want to hunt in the ocean, they must ask for Sedna and pray to her to release the sea creature from her grasp. So in the end, accepting that she was not reunited with her beloved, but then she goes through death and she is rebirthed as a goddess. So how difficult the situation it was, and how much sadness she had to deal with. The rebirth was something maybe too worthwhile, because now she is praised by all the people who are fishing on the sea, or are traveling by sea. And if we look at the tarot of the herbs, I found it interesting that the number 10, and in here we have the alfalfa, all these plants are used to make the soil stronger. It's for the compost. So these are the plants who are allowing you new ideas to sprout, and they break down the soil, but in order to improve the fertility. We see here a large field of alfalfa that it looks like an abandoned lot, a small ladybug here on one of the leaves, that tall walnut tree stand guard over the lawn, and this seems a little bit dangerous, but it's all about renewal that follows the release. You may have reached your limit. Alfalfa is planted to restore worn out, degraded and fallow land. Rest and replenish so your experience can take flight. Take a break and spend some time in reflection to refresh your love of learning. Alfalfa is among the oldest of healing foods. You have the wisdom on the ancients within you. Sift through your knowledge and let go of the pieces that do not resonate. Do not be afraid to use what you have grown. Alfalfa adds nutrients into the soil as it breaks down. What you leave behind enriches new growth. So in the end, if we look at it like this, it's a very positive card, and it's allowed us to find maybe a higher consciousness once we let go and are willing to rebirth. And because we talk about the sun, yes, and we said it's the sun in Gemini, I'm going to look for a number of a house, and that's number 2, but I will associate it now with which day from this cycle, the day of 11. It's the only day that if I add the numbers, it's a number 2. So for those of you born on 11th of June, I will look for a card from the Ancestor Path Tarot, and maybe like a message for you at the end of this period of Gemini. And the card that comes, it's the sun. So indeed, we talk about the sun in the in Gemini, and now we really have the card of the sun. So one of the most beautiful and powerful cards of the major arcana. And then for you, the appearance of this card brings you the message of success, a successful culmination of a quest, basking in the light and warmth of accomplishment, accepting the beauty of life and recognizing its source, joy, happiness, exuberance, high spirits, sharing good fortune, celebration, success, freedom, growth, abundance, pleasure, manifestation, and splendor. So that's what I wish you all, a lot of light, and to find the light mostly inside you that give you the power to deal with all difficult situation, and in the end be reborn and a newer you, a more full of light you, like this sun in Gemini. Thank you for watching.